Tired of seeing the same old cliches in K-dramas? Predictable love triangles, overly perfect protagonists, and that typical Cinderella story? Then this video is for you. Today we're exploring 30 dramas that dared to be different, broke all the genre rules, and even so, or rather, precisely because of that, became incredible works that conquered audiences worldwide. Before we start, subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and comment which of these you've already watched, or which one interests you most. It really helps the channel grow. Get your popcorn ready, jot down the titles that interest you, and let's begin this list. 30. Blood of Youth. We start with a wuxia that breaks the genre mold. As a disciple of the Lei clan, Lei Wujie can barely contain himself to prove his worth as a hero. However, being a novice who just entered the martial arts world, the path to becoming a true hero is, at the very least, arduous. Not letting himself be discouraged by the challenges in his path, Wujie arrives at the great city of Shuiyue, certain that his stay in this place will shape him into the hero he so longs to be. Unfortunately, his journey to Shuiyue is interrupted by a misadventure at the Snow Moon Villa. As owner of the villa, Xiaoxia has all the appearance of a wealthy proprietor, but he can barely afford to keep the inn open. With his business in trouble, Xiaoxia is not at all happy when his establishment is damaged by the recklessness of a young aspiring hero. Instead of the lonely, serious hero, we have a charismatic and laid-back protagonist who forms a true family with his journey companions. The series mixes spectacular martial arts with genuine comedy and deep friendships. Worth watching because it delivers high-quality action without losing the emotional heart of the story, showing that period dramas can be fun and engaging without being heavy. 29. Designated Survivor. 60 Days. The Korean adaptation of the American political thriller proves that remakes can work. Park Moo-jin is South Korea's Minister of Environment, with little political ambition. After a diplomatic incident involving free trade negotiations with the United States, President Yang Jin-ma fires him from his position. The next day, while the president was announcing to the National Assembly that he was making peace with North Korea, the building exploded, killing the entire South Korean line of succession. Park Moo-jin, whose resignation had not yet taken effect, survived the accident. He was sworn in as interim president for 60 days and began investigating the truth behind the attack. What breaks the cliché here is the realistic approach to Korean politics. Without perfect heroes or caricatured villains, watch if you enjoy intelligent political thrillers that explore complex moral dilemmas and maintain tension from the first to the last episode, with a unique and fascinating cultural perspective. 28. Unnatural. This Japanese drama revolutionizes the medical investigation genre. A coroner works on unnatural deaths, but instead of focusing only on the cases, the series dives deeply into social issues of contemporary Japan: suicide, work pressure, discrimination. Each episode functions as a mirror of society, presenting real ethical dilemmas without easy answers. It's a must-watch for those seeking a drama that entertains while making you reflect on important themes in a mature and respectful way. 27. Children of Nobody. A heavy psychological drama that's not afraid to explore humanity's darkest side. Cha Wook-young works as a child counselor at a children's center. Her life is perfect. She likes her job, is married to a seemingly loving husband, and is pregnant with her second child. An accident changes Cha Wook-young's life. She faces several incidents and unearths the truth. Meanwhile, Kang Ji-hoon works as a detective. He firmly believes that criminals should be punished to the full extent of the law. He carries within him the pain of his past that he hides. What makes it unique is the unfiltered approach to how society fails to protect its children. It's not easy to watch, but it's necessary. Worth every minute for those who appreciate courageous narratives that denounce real problems with seriousness and emotional depth. 26. The King's Affection. It looks like a common historical drama, but completely subverts expectations. A princess disguises herself as her deceased twin brother and becomes king, living a dangerous double life. Romance here is secondary to the protagonist's journey of self-discovery and political survival. Watch for the strong and complex protagonist, for the gender identity dilemmas treated with sensitivity for the era, and for a plot that maintains suspense even as a period romance. 25. Signal. Considered one of the best Korean thrillers, Signal connects two detectives from different eras through a mysterious radio. 15 years ago, a girl was kidnapped on her way home from school, and Park Hae-young, who was an elementary school student at the time, witnessed the crime. A few days later, the girl was found dead, and the police couldn't find the culprit. Over time, Hae-young began to distrust the police. 15 years later, Hae-young is now a police officer and criminal profiler. One day, he finds a walkie-talkie that allows him to contact Detective Lee Jae-han, who is 15 years in the past. Police officers Hae-young, Jae-han, and Cha So-hyun unite on a journey to solve criminal cases that were filed away. The differentiator lies in the complexity of the temporal narrative, in cases based on real crimes from Korea, and in the chemistry between characters separated by decades. It's mandatory for mystery fans who love racking their brains with intelligent plots. 24. The Bad Kids. This Chinese suspense thriller is dark, disturbing, and brilliant. 3 children witness a murder and become trapped in a cat-and-mouse game with the criminal. Unlike other dramas, it doesn't underestimate children's intelligence, nor romanticizes childhood innocence. The series explores how trauma and circumstances can corrupt, with cinematic cinematography and impressive performances. For those looking for something truly different and not afraid of unsettling narratives with ambiguous endings. 23. Inspector Ku. An alcoholic and antisocial investigator hunts a serial killer who only murders bad people. It seems like a common thriller, but is actually a fascinating exploration of morality, vigilantism, and obsession. The protagonist is flawed, messy, and absolutely real. The battle of wits between her and the charismatic villain is the heart of the series. Watch for the unique dynamic between protagonist and antagonist, for well-placed dark humor, and for a heroine who breaks all police drama stereotypes. 22. The Long Ballad, a Chinese historical drama that places a strong female protagonist at the center of an epic plot of war and politics. Li Changge's family was murdered by Li Shimin, the Tang Emperor, during the Xuanwu Gate incident. She goes to Shuo province, disguised as a man, hoping to form an army to kill Li Shimin and avenge her family's death. However, as captain of Shuo province's army in Zhangzhou, she loses a siege to Turkish general Ashina Sun of the Eastern Khaganate, who takes her to serve him as personal military strategist. There are no damsels in distress here, just an intelligent warrior navigating a world of conflicts. Worth it for the impeccable production, for well-thought-out military strategies, and for a romance that develops organically without dominating the main narrative of empowerment and redemption. 21. Kairos, a time travel thriller that will fry your brain. Living a precarious life as a part-time worker at a convenience store, Eddie struggles to support her mother, who is on a waiting list for a heart transplant. Unfortunately, her mother's deteriorating health condition leads her to give up the long-awaited transplant opportunity, and suddenly, her mother disappears. Things were chaotic enough for Eddie when she receives a phone call from a strange man who claims to be from the same world, but 31 days in the future. Ironically, he desperately asks for Eddie's help. Sojin, a father and husband of a close-knit family, lives a successful life as the youngest person to become a director at a construction company. One day, everything collapses with his daughter's kidnapping and his wife's suicide. On the verge of collapse, he receives the opportunity to restore everything that was lost under one condition: the help of a strange woman. Each change creates a complex domino effect. What sets Kairos apart is the breakneck pace and plot twists that truly surprise. It's for those who love complex temporal narratives, don't mind paying full attention to details, and want a story that keeps you on the edge of your seat from the first to the last episode. 20. Arthdal Chronicles. Korea makes its own Game of Thrones-style epic fantasy, and it works. Set in a mythical ancient land, it explores the formation of civilizations, tribal conflicts, and original mythology. Without copying Western formulas, it creates its own identity. The production is cinematic, the world building is rich and detailed. Watch if you want high-budget Asian fantasy that's not afraid to be ambitious, with complex politics, morally gray characters, and a story that promises to be epic across multiple seasons. 19. Under the Skin, a Chinese police thriller that dives into the psychology of criminals and investigators. Once a student at the Academy of Fine Arts, young artist Shen Yi had all the skills necessary to become a great painter. But when an improvised perpetration while he was drawing in the streets places Shen Yi in the middle of a police case gone wrong, his entire life is turned upside down. Spending the next 5 years filled with guilt for the role he unknowingly played in a police officer's death, Shen Yi hopes to find a way to make amends. As fate would have it, that chance finally appears when the director of public security approaches him with a job offer that will allow him to do exactly that. Accepting a job as the Interpol team's new sketch artist, Shen Yi is ready to do his part to set things right, but not everyone is happy to receive him on the team. The differentiator is the focus on criminal psychology and detailed forensic techniques, without sensationalism. For those who love Criminal Minds and seek an intelligent and mature police drama, with cases that stay in your mind long after the final credits. 18. Extraordinary Attorney Wu. A brilliant autistic attorney navigates the legal and social world. What could be sappy inspiration is actually a respectful and authentic representation of autism, with interesting legal cases and an adorable protagonist who grows without losing her essence. Watch for the well-done representation, for cases that make you think, for the charismatic cast, and for a heroine who proves that different ways of thinking are strengths, not weaknesses. It's educational, moving, and incredibly cute. 17. Mysterious Love. A Chinese romance involving amnesia, but not the way you imagine. The peculiar and adorable theater actress Ruan Nianchu meets Li Teng, a cold and arrogant guy who possesses high IQ and EQ. Li Teng saves Ruan Nianchu from a dangerous situation. The two develop feelings for each other, but separate due to different life paths. 5 years later, the two meet again, and their feelings for each other reignite. However, the two face new danger while working together to unravel the antagonist's schemes. The chemistry is electric, the mysteries are engaging, and the narrative mixes romance, suspense, and comedy perfectly. The differentiator lies in the balance between all these elements without any dominating or seeming forced. For those who want a romance that entertains but also intrigues, with protagonists who have real personalities and a palpable connection. 16. My Mister. Considered a masterpiece, My Mister is a drama about two lonely souls who save each other. A middle-aged engineer working at a company where his college junior, Junyun, is his boss, Dong-hoon doesn't lead a happy life. But that's still the least of his problems. With his two unemployed brothers living at his expense, along with his mother, he needs to do everything possible to help his family while trying to manage his life. Meanwhile, his wife and Junyun are having an affair. As if life couldn't get even more complicated and miserable, Dong-hoon finds himself entangled in an ugly situation when one of his co-workers, Lee Jian, sees him accepting an unexpected bribe at work. Jian is drowning in debt and still lives with an invalid grandmother. Almost sinking with nowhere to hold on, she seizes the first opportunity that presents itself to try to improve her situation. In attempting to exploit Dong-hoon's moment of weakness, things don't go as Jian planned. Now, trapped in a complicated situation involving personal struggles and corporate rivalry, Dong-hoon and Jian find themselves fighting for the chance to make life better, while struggling to free themselves from their current misery and find a way to heal their emotional wounds. There's no traditional romance, just pure empathy and mutual support. It's devastatingly sad, but also incredibly hopeful. Watch if you want to be emotionally destroyed and rebuilt. Experience one of IU's best performances and understand why some dramas transcend entertainment and become art. 15. First Love, a Japanese adaptation of a love story spanning decades, inspired by Hikaru Utada's songs. From the snowy peaks of Hokkaido to the open fields of Nagoya, Yae and Harumichi were once inseparable. Decades have passed, and, as close as they are, an enormous distance separates them. First love, second encounters, destiny, and timing. What makes it special is the Japanese sensitivity for capturing unspoken emotions, the stunning cinematography, and how it explores how our choices shape our lives. It's melancholic, nostalgic, and beautifully filmed. For those who appreciate mature and contemplative romances that prioritize emotion and atmosphere over excessive dialogue. 14. The Sound of Magic, a fantasy musical about a mysterious magician who appears to teenagers in crisis. It mixes harsh reality with escapist fantasy, questioning whether believing in magic is naivety or courage. The musical performances are charming, the themes about growing up and maintaining hope are universal. Watch for the originality of being one of the few well-executed Korean musicals, for the touching performances, and for a message about not losing your inner child that resonates at any age. 13. The Forbidden Marriage. When the crown princess died, the king was devastated, and a law prohibiting marriage in the Choson era was proclaimed. 7 years later, people who dreamed of getting married created enormous resentment about this and felt wronged. The plot unfolds when the con artist Ye So-rang, who claims to be possessed by spirits, appears and alleges to speak with the deceased princess, being taken to the king to investigate the prohibition, resulting in confusion, an unexpected romance, and the revelation of secrets. It's ridiculous, fun, and surprisingly sweet. It breaks the cliché of serious and heavy saguks, offering lightness without losing emotional substance. Worth it for the refreshing comedy, for the protagonist's chemistry, and for proving that historical dramas can be totally laid back and still engaging and well-written. 12. Yumi's Cells, a webtoon adaptation that literally visualizes the protagonist's brain cells as small characters, like in Inside Out. Kim Yumi is a common single woman and office worker. She's not good at expressing her feelings. Through her work and romantic relationships, she grows as a person and finds happiness in her daily life. She has cells in her brain that represent different emotions, like love, violence, rationality, good and bad. These tiny cells in her brain work actively for her while dealing with her emotions and problems. The cell animation adds layers of humor and emotional depth. Watch for the innovation in visual storytelling, for the genuinely imperfect protagonist, and for a fresh approach to romance that shows the behind the scenes of what we really think and feel. 11. Love Between Fairy and Devil, a Chinese fantasy romance that inverts power dynamics. A low-level fairy accidentally connects with the supreme lord of demons. He's powerful but emotionally repressed. She's weak but warm. The inversion here is that the villain learns to love and changes through her. The chemistry is explosive. The effects are impressive. For fantasy romance fans who want protagonists with real development, decent CGI, and a couple that balances power in unexpected and satisfying ways. 10. Hell. After causing a certain incident, police officer Daigo Agawa takes his wife and daughter to live in Kuge Village, a remote place in the mountains. It seems like the perfect place for his daughter to recover from trauma, despite the mysterious disappearance of the officer who served there. One day, an elderly woman's body is found on the mountain. The Goto family says she was attacked by a bear, but Daigo notices a human bite mark on her. Soon it becomes clear that not everything is what it seems in this village. The psychological horror and constant tension are suffocating. Watch if you have the stomach for true psychological horror. Appreciate narratives that don't underestimate the audience's intelligence, and want to experience a darker and braver side of dramas that's rarely explored with such intensity. 9. The World of the Married. One of the most watched series in Korean TV history. And for good reasons. Ji Sun-woo is a revered family medicine doctor and associate director of Family Love Hospital. She's married to Lee Tae-oh, with whom she has a teenage son, Lee Jun-young. Sun-woo seems to have everything, from a successful career to a happy family. But without her knowledge, she's being betrayed by her husband and friends. Meanwhile, Tae-oh dreams of becoming a famous film director. He runs a small entertainment and film company with his wife's support. Even though he loves and cares for his wife, Tae-oh puts himself in a dangerous position with an extramarital affair. There are no completely good or bad characters, just flawed people making destructive decisions. It's intense, angry, and addictive. Worth every second for Kim Hee-a's exceptional performance, for the raw portrayal of toxic relationships, and for a story that doesn't romanticize betrayal but shows its devastating consequences viscerally. 8. Nothing But You. A C-drama about a woman in her 30s, professionally successful, who gets involved with a younger intern. It completely breaks the cliché of older CEO and young employee. She's the mentor, he learns. It's mature, focused on career and personal growth as much as romance. The protagonist doesn't need to be saved. She's already complete. Watch for a refreshing representation of professional women, for an age gap romance treated with maturity, and for a heroine whose goals without being unreal. 7. Now We Are Breaking Up. A revenge drama that transforms into healing. A woman plans to destroy the man she blames for her father's death, but as she gets closer to him, lines blur. It's not a cute and light romance. It's heavy, with characters carrying deep pain. What sets it apart is how it explores forgiveness, guilt, and how pain can connect people. For those seeking mature and emotionally complex romances, where love doesn't magically solve everything, but offers the possibility of starting over through mutual understanding. 6. The Glory. Revenge has never been so cold and calculated. A woman spends years meticulously planning the destruction of her former school bullies. This drama doesn't romanticize revenge. It shows it as a methodical and dark process. It's brutal in its representation of abuse and its lasting consequences. Watch for Song Hye-kyo's impeccable performance as a broken but relentless woman, for the sharp writing that doesn't offer easy catharsis, and for one of the most detestable and well-constructed antagonists in dramas. 5. Alice in Borderland. Young people are transported to a deserted Tokyo, where they must participate in deadly survival games to stay alive. It's a drama with battle royale-style games with psychological analysis. The games are creative and brutal. The tension is constant. The mystery about what's really happening keeps you engaged. Watch for cinema-level production, for games that make you think along with the characters, and for a story that balances action, mystery, and character development masterfully. 4. Duty After School. High school students are recruited into the army when mysterious alien spheres attack Earth. It mixes school slice of life with war horror and science fiction. What makes it devastating is seeing ordinary teenagers facing unimaginable horrors. It doesn't romanticize war or heroism. It shows trauma and loss. It's disturbing and tragic. Watch if you want something completely different, aren't afraid of dark endings, and want to see how extreme pressure reveals true human natures, both noble and terrible. 3. Someday or One Day. One of the best time travel dramas ever made, period. A grieving woman named Hwang Yu-shuen mysteriously travels through time and wakes up in the body of a high school student named Chen Yan-ru in 1998. Confused and trapped in the past, she needs to discover what really happened to her and to the girl whose body she now inhabits. Meanwhile, she develops an impossible connection with Lee Zi-wei, a schoolmate, even knowing that his best friend is in love with Chen Yan-ru. Each episode reveals new layers. Each character has depth. The mystery is intricate, but each clue is fair. Watch for the exceptional writing that doesn't underestimate the audience, for the love story that transcends time and identity, and for the finale that ties everything together perfectly. It's complex, moving, and absolutely brilliant. 2. Move to Heaven. Juru is a young autistic man who works for his father's business, Move to Heaven. His job is to organize items left behind by deceased people. One day, his father dies and he's left alone, but his uncle Sangu suddenly appears before him. Sangu is a cold man. He was a martial artist who fought in underground fights until he was arrested for what happened in one of those fights. Sangu now becomes Guru's guardian, and together they run Move to Heaven. Each episode tells the story of a person through what they left behind. It's about dignity in death, legacies, and human connection. It's devastatingly beautiful. Watch to cry in every episode for the respectful representation of autism and for a series that celebrates ordinary lives with extraordinary compassion and humanity. 1. Reset. And in first place, we have Reset. In a time loop, 2 bus passengers relive the same explosion repeatedly, trying to save everyone on board. It seems simple, but the execution is perfect. The friendship between the protagonists is pure, the mystery deepens with each repetition, and the series balances humor, suspense, and emotion perfectly. Just 15 short episodes, no dragging. Watch because it's engaging from start to finish, because the protagonists are adorable and intelligent, because each loop reveals something new, and because it proves that simple stories told well surpass complicated plots poorly executed. And there you have it, 30 dramas that prove breaking cliches not only works, but can create masterpieces. From psychological thrillers to unconventional romances, from epic fantasy to deep slice-of-life dramas, this list shows the incredible diversity and boldness of Asian productions. What do all these dramas have in common? They respect the audience's intelligence, aren't afraid to explore uncomfortable territory, and prioritize good storytelling over safe formulas. They're series that stay with you long after the final credits. Which of these have you already watched? Which one will you start first? Tell me in the comments. And if you know other dramas that break all the cliches and are still incredible, share those too. Don't forget to drop that like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel for more drama content and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next list.